Hey guys, Crispy here. So 8th edition looms around the corner. I believe the release date for 8th edition is the 17th of this month. And I wanted to do sort of like I suppose, a review on some of the Orc units, and specifically the units that I field. So I've been running since 5th edition, basically a Orc Dread Mob list. It's the Forge World version though, so not the one that came in the Orc Codex. I believe the Orc Codex one was a bunch of Death Dreads, Killa Kanz, and a Morkanaut, or a Gorkanaut, or a couple of those. But the Forge World one contains Mecha Dreads and Mega Dreads. Obviously you can still take Morkanauts and Gorkanauts, but I never did because I never had the points to do so, because Mecha Dreads and Mega Dreads were super expensive. Now, I don't know the points cost on the Forge World models because I don't think that there have been any rules releases for those, and certainly not any leaks. But for the Orc vehicles, I have some of the leaks in regards to those, namely the Xenos 2 index book. So I wanted to today start off my little mini series speaking about Killa Kanz. So in my own army I run 9 Killa Kanz. So I run 6 Grotzuka cans and 3 rocket cans. Generally I run those in units of 3. So 3 units of 3. And in past editions, both 5th, 6th and 7th edition, the Grotzuka cans always did me really proud. They were quite strong. Often they could wipe out entire squads if I got lucky with the blast templates, because they used to shoot 2 blast templates. Range 18, strength 6, AP 4 I believe it was, maybe AP 5. AP 5. But you know, the 2 blasts was really cool. That's per can, so you were getting 6 shots for 3. And yeah, they could just wipe out whole squads of Marines if I got lucky. So I wanted to have a little look at the changes and how they benefited those guys. Previously, obviously, they only had 2 hull points. Before that, in 5th edition, well, they ran like normal dreads, so they were quite strong. Unless you roll a 6 on that table, then they never exploded. They just used to hang around. So they were really strong in 5th edition. Quite weak in 6th and 7th. There were a few ways of mitigating that, namely in my army it was through the Mecha Dreads. Mecha Dreads can repair vehicles and also can take a custom force field, so with that allowed me to give them a 5++, which just increased their survivability hugely. So let's get on to talking about the rule changes with them. Okay, so these are my just 3 of my Grotzuka cans that I have. So first off, movement wise, nothing's changed for the cans. Weapon skill, we're now hitting it on a 5+. Previously we were weapon skill 2. So I mean, personally I never really found weapon skill 2 to make me hit on 5s all that often, because I never threw these guys against characters really, which are generally the ones with a weapon skill of 5. And as far as Elder combat goes, they used to just shoot me dead rather than try and fight me in combat. So yeah, I never really hit things on 5. So weapon skill 5 for me is a little bit of a blow to these guys, because you know they sort of used to get it done in combat. You know, if you got in there into a squad of Marines, you could do some real damage. Anyway, let's have a look at the ballistic skill. We're hitting on 4+ now, so nothing's changed there. They have a base strength now of 5, but then with the can claw, we're getting +3 to that, so we're strength 8 now effectively. I believe we were strength 7 in the last codex, so that's pretty good. We're toughness 5 now. Obviously before we didn't have a toughness, we were only armor 11. So there's a few good and bad things I suppose in regards to that. One, obviously bolters now are going to be hurting us, and same with las guns, so that sort of sucks. On the other hand, we have 5 wounds now, so we gained effectively 3 hull points per model, so that's good. Attacks, we're looking at 3. Previously we only had 2 and 3 on the charge, so that's cool. Leadership 6. Now leadership value, that's interesting. And then we have a 3+ save. Okay, so we never used to have a save, so that is awesome. And now we have 5 wounds, so those are all pros. Let's have a look then, specifically to do with the Grotzuka loadout. So that is now same range, heavy 2d3, strength 6, AP 0, or dash, and dealing 1 damage. So same range, but heavy 2d3, so roughly probably 4 shots, I suppose, each. The big thing with this is that it's a heavy weapon, and we have no rules that allow us to move and fire heavy weapons with no modifier. So we're now hitting on 5s with our Grotzukas. So that feels quite harsh for these guys. Probably, it's not often that you don't move with your Grotzuka cans. You're often running towards the enemy because you need to be within 18. Obviously now with the new edition, I'm not sure, maybe more people are going to be coming closer to you, in which case a heavy 2d3 might not come into it. But I think that that's going to come into whether you take these guys or not. Now the full point cost I'm not going to go over, mainly because, you know, I don't want to release too much as far as leaks go. Let's have a look. What other rules do we have in regards to cans? So if they're reduced to 0 wounds and they explode on a 6, and every unit within 3 suffers 1 mortal wound, I assume that also includes your own unit, because it doesn't specify that it can't, so that's not good for your squad mates. Also, we get an additional attack if we have 3 or more cans in a squad, and we can have up to 6 killer cans in a unit. Now I can say that Grotzuka cans are more expensive than they were last edition, or at least for me, because in my Dread mob they were coming in at 135 points for 3, and I can't say what they are now, but they are a little bit more than that. So that feels a bit rough as well. The additional attack is cool, so 4 attacks each, but we're hitting on 5s now, so you know, we're probably not dealing as much damage out in combat anymore. We have more wounds, and we also, with our Grotzuka cans, we're hitting less. Like, we've got Orc Ballistic Skill, standard Orc Ballistic Skill, for the most part. So I don't know what their new role is, to be honest. I suppose these guys will be more used for soaking up damage. With no AP on the weapon and a strength 6, we're wounding things now on 3s with the new wound system. Because previously, obviously, with strength 6, you'd be wounding T4 on 2s, but now we wound on 3s. And let's be honest, you come up against T4 all the time. It's not often that you're coming up against T3. I hope that with the new edition we see more T3 bodies on the ground, because that would be great, because then these guys will be wounding on 2s, in which case 2d3 is going to be pretty good, especially if we are able to stand still. Okay, so yeah, so I think overall these guys aren't looking so great. Probably the Grotzuka can is no longer a good choice. Let's go on to the next weapon option. For me, that's rocket cans. So I used to run 3 of these little guys. So let's have a look at the rocket. The rocket is an assault weapon. It always has been. 24 inches, that's the same. Strength 8, negative 2 to your save, and 3 damage. So it is the exactly same profile as a missile launcher, which was the same in the last edition as well, except that we have less range. It being an assault weapon, though, that allows us to move and advance. So move, advance, and still shoot. So an advance now is where you roll a d6, and it's basically your run move just done in the movement phase. So that's cool. So that means that basically, effectively, we gained an extra d6 inches for the range. So that's cool. And 3 damage, you know, that's not bad. Strength 8 as well. I don't think you really want to fire, like with damage 3, I mean, obviously if you've got nothing else to shoot at, you'll probably fire these guys at a unit of Marines. I know I used to, and just pick off one here and there. They will still do that, by the looks of this. But they're probably better served, I mean, you know, taking a few pot shots at Terminators would be good, because you're killing 1 Terminator with every failed save, and Terminator's now saving on a 4+ against that, so that's not bad. Maybe some monstrous creatures as well. T8 probably going to be wounding most monstrous creatures on 3s. And the -2 is going to be quite nice. A lot of monstrous creatures are running around with 4+ and 3+, so 5s and 6s on those saves, and we're dealing 3 damage each hit, so that is good. Okay, let's go on to the next weapon loadout. I don't have these weapon loadouts, so I found this little image. So first off, the Daka can. I'm going to include this image for both the custom Mega Blaster and also the Big Shooter. So Big Shooters, range 36, I believe that's the same. Actually no, I think they were 30 inches last edition. Assault 3, that's the same. Strength 5, that's the same. AP Dash, we used to be AP 5, so that makes sense, especially since Bolters now have no AP. Then we have 1 damage. So a unit of 3 cans firing out 9 shots. Half of those are hitting most of the time, so you get maybe 4 or 5 hits. And you're winning most things on 3s, so another half again. So you might get, say, 3 wounds through every shooting phase at a range of 36, but then you also move 6 and you can advance because it's an assault weapon. So we're looking at 42 plus d6, so say 45 inches on average. 45-inch range and dealing out another 2 to 3 wounds every turn. So that's not too bad. I mean that seems like a fairly solid choice, especially if you're going to run these guys in the combat. So you know, and it's a fairly cheap option as well. I'm not going to obviously disclose points, but big shooters are quite cheap. So that is cool. The next one is we'll do the custom Mega Blaster. So custom Mega Blasters 24 inches, so same range as the rocket. Assault 1, that's normal. Strength 8, -3 to your save, D3 damage, but on a roll of a 1, we take a mortal wound. So that's sort of not so great. But strength 8's good, -3 is good, D3. But to be honest, probably better just taking the rocket launcher rather than the custom Mega Blaster. And then finally, the last weapon option is the Scorcher. So the Scorcher is range 8, assault d6, strength 5, -1, and 1 damage. So the same stat line as a heavy flamer. Heavy flamers have already been released, so we've known about this stat line for a while now. Range 8's good, assault d6 is good. Cans now having more wounds. You know, movement 6, run d6. This is an assault weapon plus 8. So you're looking at what, 9, a 17-inch threat range with the Scorcher. That's pretty good. I think that's not too bad. Definitely worth a consideration, especially with cans now having 5 wounds. Scorchers are quite pricey points-wise, just because you are auto-hitting as well, which is also now good on cans because, I mean, your Ballistic Skill, you know, you're hitting on 4s, it's not really that great. So maybe the Scorcher can is worth it now. Run him up, custom force field behind him just in case something's got some las cannons or something like that. So yeah, so there we go. There's our there's a basic overview of cans. Obviously, since we're going over cans, we might as well go over support options for them, and that will be the little mechs. Apologies about this picture, it's a little small, but anyway, you guys get the idea. So as far as repair options in the orc list, we've got roughly the same ones that we had before. So we've got the big mech, we've got the little mech, then we've got the mech upgrades that we get. They're now called spanners in looters and burners. Looters and burners can replace 3 of their models and make them spanners. And the mech is just the single little mech guy. He's just an elite's choice now. Although I noticed that for the squad sizing it's only 1. So one single guy taking up 1 elite's choice is fairly hefty, but he doesn't cost a lot of points. And he also has the character rule, so you can hide him behind units. And then the big mech. So now for the healing, big mech can heal D3 wounds on a vehicle within 3 inches, and the other guys heal 1 wound on a vehicle within 3 inches. And this is just an auto heal, there's no 4-up or anything like that to roll. The only thing that sort of sucks with that rule is that you can only repair 1 vehicle once per turn. So with your units of cans, I mean, you know, to be honest, you're only going to have one can that's damaged, but he's probably going to be fairly damaged. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it's not great. And because they have the vehicle keyword, they don't benefit from pain boys or anything like that, because it specifies what is affected by pain boys. But they are affected by the custom force field, so that is also fairly cool. You can give them that. Obviously they're going to benefit from that 5++, so that's cool. Other things that I noticed is that with the leadership value, all squads now, when you lose models, you then take a leadership test roll. It's effectively like the battle shock phase that you get in Age of Sigmar, and you roll a d6, add the number of models you've lost, and then minus your leadership, and whatever the difference is, that's how many models you lose. So if you lose a single can and then you roll a 6, you're going to lose another can. He's going to run away. So that is a huge negative to Killa Kanz as well, because you do not want to lose 5 wounds worth of model. So yeah, so I suppose to sum it up, I'll probably run my Killa Kanz with either rocket launchers or Scorchers. They seem like the best options in my opinion. The Grotzuka, as far as I can see, and in my testing, it hasn't been very good. Obviously, I'll need to test more. There is a tournament on this month, so I will probably do a little video on that and let you know how I go, and I will be fielding most likely a bunch of cans and also Death Droids, so we shall see. It all depends on, I've got to paint up some more Death Droids, so I might run heavy Death Droids if I can get them all painted up. But anyway, there is my first review. Obviously, if you like this video, like and subscribe. I'll be doing some more videos, as I said, on Death Dreads. When they release the Mega Dreads, I'll do them as well. Mecha Dreads, and I'll probably, I'll just work my way through my collection and do these videos and let you know my thoughts. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys, and yeah, I'll see you around.